3, 2. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to another Chat and Learn here with PowerToFly. My name is Mariella Marie, and as always, super excited to roll into this next hour with you all. I've actually had the privilege of interviewing our guest speaker. I feel like it was 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Time is just flies, but so I'm super excited to have her back because she really has a lot of knowledge to share, and she's speaking about a topic that I love, and I hope that you all leave, with more knowledge and feeling more empowered. But before we get started, I just want to go over some quick housekeeping rules so that we all feel comfortable and confident in this next hour. So just to start us off on the right note, lots of crazy things going on in the world. I appreciate your attendance here today. You could be doing anything else, but you're deciding to spend the hour with us. With that said, we're calling from all over. So our guest speaker is in Spain. I'm in Argentina. We've got some folks representing the States and Arizona. So if you're just joining us, let us know where you're calling from. You can write in the chat box. Participation is key. We really want you to maximize your time. So feel free to turn your cameras on. I see we've got some folks doing that already. Thank you so much. Feel free to turn your cameras on. We believe in visibility here at PowerToFly. So, no pressure, but, if you haven't cleaned your room or, you still have your pajamas on there, this is a judgment-free zone. We just would love to see your beautiful faces here today. Feel free to come off mute whenever you feel called to do so. Otherwise, you can write in the chat box. If you have any questions or reflections or dreams that you want to share with us that came to your mind, in the moment, we would love to hear from you. Otherwise, we will refer to the questions you all have submitted offline, which are great. So we will be responding to those questions that you've submitted offline previously. If you have any sensitive information and you prefer to be kept anonymous, you can find me in the chat box under Mariella Marie. You can write to me privately, and I will flag your reflection or your question to our guest speaker. If you do hop off of mute, you will be featured in our live recording. And this is a perfect topic to invite everyone to be present with us. I know that we're living in a world where everyone is multitasking all the time, but I would love for your presence today. So you can rewatch this video later, and then you can take notes vigorously there and do your research simultaneously. The last thing I'll say is we'd love for you to follow us on socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with all the great chats we've got in store. And I just briefly want to introduce myself for those of you who are new to the Chat and Learn program. I'm originally from California. I'm currently in Argentina and Patagonia. One of the main pillars that I really, one of my big philosophies these days is a return to nature. And I would love for our guest speaker to kind of chime in on that. We had a chance to speak offline a bit about, just being minimal and being mindful and really being thoughtful as we move forward in these uncertain times. So I'm currently living in Argentina, in Patagonia, and I'm working on my project that is called the Positive Force Team. And I would love to invite you all to sign up for our newsletter so you can keep up with all the great things we've got coming up. Otherwise, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. All right, without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to our guest speaker, Chris. Chris, let us know a little bit about yourself, how you came to learn about PowerToFly, and what you're excited to share with us today.
Thank you, Mariela. And I am super excited to be here again. It's been 2 years, crazy, since we last spoke. And I was at the beginning of my speaker or facilitator role in 2018. It's been 2 years, and I've been blessed to be able to teach and learn, because when you're a teacher, you learn so much. So I've been honored to teach in many companies. You can see some of them here, and yeah, just spread mindfulness and emotional intelligence. About me personally, you can hear the accent. I am from Venezuela. I was raised in the U.S., but I came at an age that I spoke at 15. So you already have your defined way to move your mouth. So English comes really easy to me, but I still have my beautiful accent. And I live in Spain now. I moved here because of love, and I am very, very grateful for the opportunity to be in a new culture and very close to a Latino culture. So happy to be here and share a little bit about my journey into mindfulness, share any tips that I can share with you guys. The journey of mindfulness started more than 10 years ago. Started as a very personal thing, a closet meditator, doing my thing on my own and just trying to find ways to cope with anxiety, with stress, And I just, I wanted to find healthy ways, because I usually, what you see in television and what you see in society are not very healthy ways, like partying and drinking and doing all these things, which is fun, but it's not, at the end of the day, it doesn't allow you to cope with life and with life brings, the personal side and the professional side. So as I've been growing older, I am very, very grateful to have the practices that I have, because in this pandemic and these things that that you mentioned, it's been a tough year for all of us. And I couldn't even imagine not having self-care tools to cope. And my mission in life, I had as my struggles with anxiety and stress, and I made that my inspiration to help and share with people how to cope with that, because it doesn't feel good. It didn't feel good at all, and it didn't feel good to not find the tools, to not find places that people talked about it. So my mission in life is to spread the word and teach it to people, because knowledge, education, and in understanding our bodies, our minds, it's super powerful, because once we do that, we can change the way we live, the way we experience life. So, and we'll talk a lot about these things, but that's not, and I came across Power to Fly in like 2018 or 17, and I went to a chat and I loved it, and that's how I connected, and why I'm here.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that much of your journey. And I'm sure you're going to share more as we roll through these questions that folks have submitted offline. I love that you said you moved to Spain for love. That's just that's just a nice way to start this conversation, to listen to your intuition and to, empower yourself to do what will help you to thrive. So yes, we are living in crazy times where anxiety is high, depression is high, there is a new loneliness epidemic, all of these things that we're faced with. So I love that your mission is to share the tools to keep us on track and to keep us being mindful. So I would love for you to just kind of hit on these key takeaways that you plan on touching on for the next hour. And then for our live callers, if any questions or reflections come up now, feel free to drop those in the chat box. But Chris, why don't you go over this slide for us today?
Yeah. So I'm here to answer any questions and give any guidance that I can provide. I don't consider myself an expert, but I have spent the last 5 years training myself. I have a master's degree in mindfulness, and I have a certification to teach the Certain Self program, which is designed at Google. It's one of the most known programs in the world to teach emotional intelligence and mindfulness. So if I can answer from those places and from my own life experiences, I am happy to answer the questions. So this is just kind of an idea of what we thought will be helpful for you, for everybody watching this. So just visiting the concept of meditation, a very basic and very easy to understand concept of what meditation is. And just share some practices that you can do to get started. And then also talk about meditation as a tool to know ourselves and to get to know ourselves. That's kind of like the idea.
Yes, I love that you keep bringing up emotional intelligence, because as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm pretty much obsessed with speaking about emotional intelligence, and I think that can definitely it's a foundation that if we learn more and be mindfully participating and building our emotional intelligence on a personal level, and also with our team and with our community, we can totally approach some of these big challenges that we're seeing today. So I'm going to move on to this next slide, and just so that we can hear you clearly, Chris, I think your mic is moving maybe on your hair or on your collar. So I think that's better. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, so let's roll right into meditation.
Yeah. So so let's give a little let's give it a try, and then I'll explain a little bit. So what we're gonna do, you can be beginner or you can be experienced or anything. So basically what we're gonna do is gonna bring our attention to our breath for just 1 minute. So it's very short, And basically what we're going to try to pay attention is how the breath like feels in the body. Like maybe we feel the shoulders moving, or the belly, or whatever we can sense. And I'm going to invite you to say breathing in when you feel that the breath is coming in, and breathing out when you feel that the breath is coming out. So you say that in silence to yourself. I will be guiding you to help you remember what we're doing. So if you want to just put both the feet on the floor, and is my mic fine now? Okay. So both feet on the floor, and the hands can be on the lap, or just however, however you feel comfortable. I would say that if you can sit up straight, to kind of like know that you're shifting, and letting the body know that you're going to do something, you're going to do an exercise. So just changing that position, the body straight, yet it's relaxed, and perhaps lowering your eyes to the front in a very relaxed way, or perhaps if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. So just bringing the attention to the entire body, sitting here, feeling the feet on the ground, and the entire body just being supported by the chair. Taking a deep breath if you need to. So breathing in and breathing out. And then bringing the attention to the breath, however it is. If it's fast, slow, just normal. I'm trying to notice as you breathe in, saying the words, breathing in. And as you notice that the breath is going out, you say breathing out. Perhaps the mind is a little fast. That's okay. That's nothing to do with that. Just allow it to be. And bring the attention to the breathing and repeating the words as you feel the air coming in, breathing in, and breathing out. Allowing the body to relax as you breathe in and breathe out. Relaxing the shoulders. And just allowing the breath to flow as you repeat, breathing in and breathing out. Slowly start moving your toes, moving your hands, perhaps adjusting your neck a little bit. As you slowly return your attention back, opening your eyes if you close them. And yeah, so I would love to hear how that felt. If you want to put it in the chat. There's no wrong or right experience. But basically, we just did a little bit of focused attention meditation, which is bringing our attention to something very specific, which was the breath. This meditation is, it's great to help with anxiety. I feel very relaxed. And when we feel like our mind, it's very active. And so it helps us to a little bit to ground ourselves.
Wow, I'm going to have a hard time coming back and asking you questions. Actually, I really appreciate that practice. It's such a short time, but it's so impactful. And so I know that actually our conversation after this brief meditation will be even more meaningful, and it will resonate in different ways that had I not done this breath work practice, it might be a little more flat, let's say. So I think someone else here, Melissa, wrote, I agree, very relaxed and calm. So thank you so much, Chris, for sharing that meditation with us.
You're welcome. So if you want to go back, so I can just review the concept in case you're wondering what a meditation is.
Sorry about that. I get distracted from the meditation. Let me just go all the way back here. Sorry about that. There we are.
So basically, meditation is training our attention. So what we did, we're bringing the attention to the breath. There are different types of meditation, which I teach in extended courses. But for today, just knowing that we are training our muscle, which is the mind, to pay attention, and not only to be to become aware of what's happening inside, but also to know what is happening around us. So when we are able to bring our attention to one thing and train the mind to be, we're able to see our emotions and the world in different ways. So that's what is very important. Knowing ourselves, to be able to, and I think we're going to talk about it in the questions, but I think it's crucial for me as a leader in my company, as a teacher, as a spouse, as a sister, to know myself better, to know my habits and my emotional reactions and tendencies, so I can try to do my best in life and in the real world,
Absolutely. It's that self-awareness piece that also feeds into social awareness. So being able to know my boundaries by, doing these meditative practices, and then that can help me share my full self with others, instead of maybe experiencing burnout or imposter syndrome and all these things that can happen if I don't have that self-awareness up and ready to set my boundaries and dive inside of that self-practice. So thank you for reflecting on that with us. All right, so let's move on to this next slide here.
Yeah, so some of the practices that I wanted to share that are very easy to integrate, at the beginning, and now that we live very busy lives. We're very easily distracted, as you said in the beginning. We have so many things calling our attention, email, notifications, and all these things. So what are some things that we can do in a very short period of time? A minute of gratitude, and we just did a meditation, so I'm gonna wait for this one. We'll do it a little later so we can practice it. It's really beautiful. It's just 1 minute too. But then one thing is disconnecting from technology during our meals. That's like crucial, and it's hard. I know, because sometimes I just want to, it happens to me, and like I want to be, watching something on YouTube, and I make myself, like, I sit in my patio and I make myself be like with my food, and it is at times it's hard when you are working, and you want to be connected, and once you do that, it's a gift to yourself to kind of like slow down and be where you are, enjoy the meal, enjoy the food. So that's a crucial practice that can be really good for our self-care, because it will slow the mind a lot too, because all these distractions actually have an effect on how many thoughts we have throughout the day. So the more information we're bringing in, the more information we're bringing in, we're just creating more noise, and in not allowing things to settle. So then the other thing that I wanted to share is a good one is to monitor, and none of, they sound simple, sometimes they may be hard, but it's monitoring how we feel when we are checking email or on social media. And I think this has become very popular in the last couple of years, that people are noticing that teenagers and people are getting depressed or getting anxiety or getting so many things because they're on social media, and you get the self-esteem issues and all these things that can happen to adults too. So for myself, I try to monitor a lot of how I'm feeling. And I'm not inviting anybody here to be perfect, but just in do this in a way to care, do self-care. So we become an automatic pilot when we are on social media. We can be there for like 4 hours, and if we don't do a check-in every now and then, like, okay, I'm not even conscious that I'm breathing, if we don't check in with us, we're just in this automatic pilot. And sometimes it's not a good automatic pilot because it's actually creating not good energy and emotions within us that we're not even aware. So sometimes pausing and saying, okay, how am I feeling like about seeing all these people in the Bahamas and like, and traveling all over the world, or how am I feeling about seeing this person's life, and stopping and asking ourselves those questions. Is this good for me? Does it help me to be seeing this information? And if it does, if your answer is no, you're going to know when you ask that. If the answer is no, then we need to find ways to start cutting back a little bit on those social medias that are not doing well for us. And the same with emails, when you're writing an email and checking emails, we tend to tense up. And actually, some of the research, Mariela, it's very interesting that I read a little bit ago that we hold our breath when we are checking our email. And I've been trying to notice. I'm like, when I check on it, and so we constrain ourselves when we are checking emails. So so they are studying some of the behaviors of things, when we're, on the red and on the internet. So
That
those are
doesn't
some of the
surprise me.
practices.
That
Yeah.
totally, because it's like you don't know what's going to come out at you. You don't know what to expect. So you hold your breath as if you're about to dive into water or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm going to try to be more mindful as well, because, yeah, it's, I often speak about, I love that one of the first things you did was invite us to be mindful of the breath. And one thing that I was taught back in my training as a performance artist, I studied theater and film in Los Angeles, um, is to be mindful of where we are taking our breath. So if we're breathing from a survival breath versus a deep belly breath, right? And
Hmm.
why are we breathing survival breath when we're not being pushed in the water, we're not being attacked to, so our bodies can wake up and have the, full capacity to help us survive. If we're sitting at our desks, or if we're, chopping vegetables and we're breathing a very shallow breath from our chest, this survival breath, then to invite that breath to go deeper into our belly so that we can be more expansive with our breath, and how that just automatically lowers anxiety. It helps you be present. So I love that you're having these check-ins. I love that you're also tying it into, being mindful of it with social media and with checking emails, because yeah, I don't know if you would call this extreme, but I decided to not have social media apps on my phone. If I want to go, I can go in through my computer. I give myself a time and I'm out, because otherwise I feel like, sometimes I can't control my boundaries. It's strange. So I put my boundaries like, okay, I don't want it on my phone at least. And then if I do want to engage, I go log in the old fashioned way on the computer. But yes, I love that you're bringing that
Yeah.
challenge.
So whatever works for you, as we get to know ourselves, we learn our habits and what are our tendencies, and the same, like if you like bread, you don't buy like a bunch of bread and have it in the kitchen because you know you're gonna eat it. So you try to like buy not that much bread and buy it every now and then. So I think it applies, the same way. You start to know, okay, I when I go on X, social media, I spend 4 hours and then I feel drained and I feel exhausted. Okay, so what can I do? So doing adaptations or whatever works for you.
So I know we're going to get into our questions in just a minute, but what do you have any advice for folks who, they wake up and they go straight to the phone, whether it be to check messages or emails? I know this is a very common habit.
Yeah.
Would love to hear some guidance for you on, what do you think about that, and how can people not just kind of fall into that habit?
Well, first of all, I'm no one to judge. uh, um, I have been guilty of that myself. Um, and I would like to make like analogies. So if you, and the same thing with the bread, if you don't want to, if you want to lose weight, and you don't want to have a bunch of bread easy to get to, and you have it, so you just go to the kitchen, open, and then you eat all the bread that you want. So it depends on the priorities in your life. So if you feel like you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're feeling uh, unbalanced, and you feel that something is not right, what are some habits that you can start changing? And so if and giving it a try, say, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to try not to check my phone in the morning and see how I feel. So I think the main thing is that before committing to like a meditation or mindfulness practice, you have to have an intention of why. Because if you don't have an intention, then you're not going to go anywhere. Why do I want to learn how to meditate, or why do I want to be more mindful? If you don't have that intention, it's not going to last a very long, because you don't have a true meaningful concept behind it. So for me, from the beginning, I knew I wanted to work with anxiety and stress. And that kept me coming back to the cushion every day and meditating, because I had an intention, and I wanted to make an impact in my brain, because I had read this research that meditation actually can change the structure of your brain. And I wanted that, because I didn't like the way I was feeling. So I think it's all about what do you want to do in your life, what intentions you have. And if you do want to have some type of change in your mindset, in the way you feel, then you can start applying little things that will help you towards that. And one of those things can be perhaps putting the phone in another room, or doing adaptations. But it all falls back to, what do I want to achieve, and do I need some self-care practices in my life.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Chris. I do have a private message here regarding this third point that you made here about monitoring your emotions when checking emails or social media. So this private message reads, for example, if I'm 100% sure that I'm going to get a certain job, but to my surprise, I find an email with the opposite of what I was expecting, how can I control my emotions and to make sure that I'm not, hurting myself or demoralizing myself?
Hmm. That's a beautiful question, and and I love it because so one of the things that we are taught in life is that, or I don't know what word it is, but like we all have this thing that we're not supposed to feel bad emotions. Like we're not supposed to like we resist anything that hurts or is painful. So when I say monitor emotions, and for this specific example, um, I check the email and I see it, and as I read it, I see and I what I monitor means is that I will start to watch, like if I was watching a movie at the cinema, what is happening. And there's a process and there are trainings for this, but basically you just start to see my breath is changing, my heart is changing. I'm feeling sadness, and you are acknowledging what you're feeling. I am feeling disappointment. Now, in self-regulation training or self-management trainings, we help you. um, First, the first part is for understand how to identify our emotions, and then the second part is how to regulate the emotion. So I'm not, and it's self-regulation or management is never about denying, suppressing, or 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 putting away the emotion. It's it's totally the contrary. It's actually being with the emotion in a way that we don't react in ways that is going to hurt others or hurt ourselves. So it's a process, so the self-regulation part is, first you notice, and then you start to regulate. You apply some techniques to self-regulate, and then you choose how to respond to this. it's a lot of times in things like this, like the email, most likely the best response is to not respond at the time and take some time to allow the emotion to work through you. Emotions have a very short life. They're like 90 to 3 minutes, the actual emotion. So like if you see the email, it just like, and that will last like from 90 to 3 minutes to like, all that and everything that happens with emotions. And if it lasts longer than that, it's not actually the emotion. It's that we are actually thinking thoughts that make the emotion last way longer than it should. Uh, so yeah, I hope that this kind of helps understand what I mean about monitoring.
Absolutely. I think that's clear for the person that messaged me privately. Let me know if you need more clarification. But yeah, I feel like I have implemented those into my practice as well, as far as, if I have expectations, first to understand why I have those expectations. Why am I attached to this? How can I not be attached to this, so that if I open an email and I get something I wasn't expected, I'm not just like thrown, for a loop, and, my whole world is flipped upside down.
And it's
So
okay
just to
to
be okay
be
with whatever the
sad.
result is that I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
be disappointed. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to feel frustrated. It's fine. The problem is that we don't like feeling that, so we like to resist it, and we react while we are in that pain. So then we regret how we acted while we were in the pain. So the best thing is to sit with it and then allow that emotion to, wait a couple hours before you react. And then if you need to cry, you cry. If you need to, so allowing the emotions to be, emotions need to be allowed to pass through like the weather.
I love that. And this private message says, yes, the question is well answered. So great. Thank you so much for that, Chris. I love that you're also, challenging folks to not respond immediately, to like let those emotions work through you and then come back. Because in the way that these days, especially in working remotely and, everything happening with the pandemic, the speed at which folks are handling work, it's really fascinating, but also it can be destructive, I see. So if you respond immediately with this, intense emotion, and you haven't had time to sit with it, that isn't going to be beneficial for you or the person on the other end receiving your email. So I love your invitation to pause, take a step away, and then come back and respond to the email.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think in the old days, and there's still a lot of lingering in the business world, the professional world, is that emotions have no place at work, and that's BS. We're humans, and basically humans are walking emotions. So what I would say instead is that emotion regulation is the key to success at work, not suppression, not emotion suppression or ignoring emotions. Emotion regulation. And great leaders and people that have the capacity to do creative things or do amazing things in life, I think have this capacity of being able to not be reactive with what they, be in touch and be able to react, not from reactivity, but from a little bit of wisdom. And that takes training and time. I'm not saying that it's super easy, but it's something that you can train. All these things that you can learn, the things that we don't, they don't teach it at school. And then which I think hopefully soon there's going to be started to be taught in schools, but these are things that we need in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely hope that we can start to learn about, emotional intelligence earlier on in our lives, so that we don't have to learn it, as adults in our career, when we're having these, career and global crises. So thank you for that. So I saw that on the previous slide that you're on Insight Timer. That's beautiful. I'm going to look for you there. And can you share a little bit more about this invitation you have here for us?
Yeah. So yes, free meditations and insight timer. I haven't been posting that many lately, but some of them have really good ratings, and they come from the heart. So I hope you enjoy them. And also my team also put some on there too. This invitation, it's for one program that I am very honored to be able to teach this. Um, I did it as a participant in 2018, I believe, in Paris. Um, and I was amazed. Because I was like, wow, like I had been studying mindfulness for a while, and I had been doing my own work through therapy, cognitive therapy, and reading so many books and then doing so much research. And then I found this program, and I said, oh, this is the perfect foundation for making an impact in the way we live. um, so of course it was developed at Google. The people that are leaders in many things, they still teach it there. There's a very few teachers certified in the world, and it's awesome to have that. We have a group of about 700, and then about 50 of us are Spanish speaking. So I serve a lot of the Spanish speaking community, and I'm going to be offering next week. I have just a couple of spots for this training. I do very small groups, very um, intimate setting, and it's a very practical training. So you can read all you want in the world, read, and prepare. But there's not that many trainings that allow you to experience how to be more self-compassionate, how to calm down, how to self-regulate, So it's a very practical training on how to cultivate these tools and the self-knowledge and the self-regulation. And then so it's a beautiful training. So I invite you, if you want to, more information, you can go to this website.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. Are you able to type the link right now in the chat box, because it seems like one of our live callers is having trouble finding the link. And if not, it's okay. We can put that in the
Yeah, I
rewatch
have a
emails.
shorter one.
Okay, perfect.
I should have
There
put
you are.
that one.
Awesome. Okay, good. And then Melissa also wrote that in there as well. Great. I just make sure people can access it. Perfect.
Thank
And
you,
then
Melissa.
perfect. And then this is your website, so they can just go to your website and navigate and find that way as well.
Yeah, so for this course, it's by invitation only, so you will not be able to find it on the website. So, but if you go to the link, you should be able to get
Great.
there.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this last slide, and then we'll roll into some of the questions that folks have submitted offline here.
Yes. So I won't go too much in depth, so we have time to answer questions, because I think that's the more crucial part. But basically, these are some of the benefits based on the research. Again, all the work that I do, I am a strong believer that it needs to be backed up by the science and what the experts are seeing that works, and that's the difference between what we do al alma y espíritu and what you probably see. There's a lot of things out there. So what are some of the benefits? Decrease stress and anxiety. This has been proven in the research. Emotional regulation, decrease reactivity, being able to recover from negative emotions, like we were talking about the email, being able to recover faster from that, enhance self-insight, which is self-knowledge, improve well-being, increase ability to focus, concentrate, which is something that we need now more than ever. And then empathy and compassion. Like that, I think those are key to life, being able to connect with people in more meaningful ways, and then be able to practice compassion as a way towards ourselves and the world as we relate. So those are some of the benefits that have been proven by science. So they have seen changes in the structure of the brains that are tied to the networks, tied to empathy and tied to stress. So this is some of those benefits.
I love that research. And I also try to remind folks that, there is totally a lot of science to back this up. What I find interesting is that as I continue to speak about the importance of emotional intelligence in the workplace, is that I'm actually finding that this is that we can experiment a little bit, because historically speaking, like you said, emotions had to be checked at the door at work. So there wasn't a lot of research on like how, developing your emotional intelligence can help you become a better leader, or, be more involved and at peace when you're working in a team, and be, more self-aware on your own. This is totally a time to experiment with empathy, leading this experimentation, of course, so that we can build bridges instead of building walls. And with that said, I want to just move into some of these questions that folks have submitted offline. We've got a little over 15 minutes left in this chat. So I do want to, acknowledge these questions that were submitted offline. But if anyone who is live with us who has questions now, feel free to write those in the chat box, and I will raise those questions or reflections to our guest speaker today. So let's start with this one. I'd love to just kind of take a step back and learn, how did we come to learn about meditation? So this question was submitted offline, and it reads, how was meditation introduced to Western society? In what ways has meditation been repurposed to fit the norms of this culture?
Wow, that's a very deep question. Let's see. So from what I've read and what I've studied, meditation has been around for quite a while in Western society. However, it has been introduced in many ways, sometimes through religious practices, and I think that was the beginning of it. But then I think in the 80s, I believe it was the 80s, this person, John Kabat-Zinn, actually introduced meditation and mindfulness through a new lens. And what he did is he brought in, he grabbed the knowledge and took away all the religious beliefs and doctrines and all that, and just stayed with the core, which is what we know mindfulness nowadays. And basically what he did, he was in the University of Mass General, I believe, and he launched the first mindfulness-based stress reduction program to help people with this with life-threatening diseases to cope with pain, with physical pain. These people that were in these first trainings the medication was not doing any effect anymore. They had no other way, no other route. And what he did is he started to introduce this mindfulness-based training. And what they saw is that these people were, the pain did not go away. However, they were able to relate to pain in a new way that they could live and still have a life. So that was so impactful in the medical world that he created his own department, his own training, and now it's being taught, in many places. And he was actually one of the pioneers on the research world, and the training that he designed has been used for many of the research to know what happens in the brain when we meditate. So I think that's one of the more of mindfulness and meditation connections to how it came. But there are probably many ways that and many doctrines and ways that meditation that I probably don't know about. So
That's fascinating. And I know I know that there are as we continue to develop as a modern society, and as we get to learn about what has been working for other cultures and how can we be mindful about that, and maybe adopt some practices with sensitivity, of course, that we continue to grow the way that we define what does it mean to be a active participant in society? What does it mean to be balanced at home and at work? Is it possible? Is it not? So I love that this is, something that this question was submitted offline, because it is a very deep question. But
yeah.
I would even argue that we're still, figuring out how to develop our mindfulness and meditation practices as a Western culture more and more.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. And the adaptation parts, it's still, it's a work in progress. And as I say, programs like the one that I talked about, it's all the data. They have a lot of data and how how people perceive and experience, so a lot of that data is used to update and change the program. And then there are some people, for like, me, I'm trying to to start more movement in the Latino and mindfulness and meditation movement in the US and the world. There are people that are leading that, but there's very little. So it's a very promising field because of the results that the research has shown. However, it's very new. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to this next question here. What does a state of calmness look like? And what can we do to grow and protect this feeling?
Huh. So I'm gonna invite now to do that gratitude. Let's do a practice, and then I'll answer that. And you probably answer it when you're doing the practice. You answer it yourself. So we're gonna do a minute meditation, and it's a gratitude meditation. It's a beautiful meditation. So I'm gonna invite you the same thing. So change your position to allow the body to know that you're gonna shift into a new activity, and perhaps relax the eyes or just close it if you feel comfortable. And placing both hands on the legs, taking a deep breath through the nose, exhaling through the nose. One more time, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. Just bringing the attention to the body, how it is. It's been sitting for some time. Just noticing how it is. And then bringing the attention to my words as I invite you to connect with gratitude. That feeling that arises in us when we feel grateful for things in our life. So I'm going to invite you to think of something that you're grateful for at this moment. Something physical, like the chair where you're sitting, or the room where you're sitting, the house, the windows, the patio. Now shifting to the people that you're grateful for right now in your life. The last phone call you had from someone that you love. A close family member that is there for you. Or a friend. And noticing how gratitude manifests in our body as we think about somebody special that we're grateful for. Perhaps there's a warmth in the heart, a need to smile. Whatever arises, we allow that to be. And I'm going to give you a couple seconds to name some things, places, persons that you're grateful for today. You can do this in silence. And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to draw a smile in your face and thank yourself for taking the time today to learn something new. Slowly returning back the attention by opening the eyes, taking a deep breath if you need to, and adjusting us if you need to.
Thank you so much, Chris, for that practice. I really appreciate that. And I think I definitely feel the response to that question, but I'll read it again just in case someone on the
Yeah.
call wants us to go over it vocally. So, what does a state of calmness look like? And what can we do to grow and protect this feeling?
Yeah. So what we did right now is that we stopped. So for me, this is my explanation of what calmness means to me. It means pausing and being completely in the present moment. Because when we are in the present moment, we're not worried about the future and we're not suffering about the past. So just being here, which is this sign, being here, aligned with our bodies and ourselves, it's presence. Calmness is a sensation of presence, and being able to allow the mind to be how it is, being allowing the anything that is present to just be in this present moment. And how can we make that something that can be a state of mind, a state of present? How can we make it by changing from autopilot to consciousness? And and there are trainings that we do to do this, and I wish I could give you all of it today, but as you know, as if I go back to the analogies, if you want to lose weight, you sign up for the gym and then you work out for months, for the same thing. So if you want to change emotional behaviors, mental behaviors, you spend time to train, and then once you have trained it, it's going to be easier to arrive at that place of calmness. So at the beginning, it's going to take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, maybe days to find calmness. But then as you train your mind and you train your body to connect with calmness, it will arrive sooner and you will be able to be in that place longer.
I love that analogy of, it's like working out a muscle. You can't just, do a couple of push-ups and expect to be able to lift up, a lot of, a lot of weight. So, practicing and building that muscle, it's a beautiful way to look at it as well. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I would love for you to approach this question as I think we would love to just learn a little bit more about you and how you've been impacted by your practice. So this question reads, can you share the impact meditation has had in your life? And which were some of the changes you saw that made you want to devote your time to this practice?
There's a lot of changes in my life, and I will just focus on from what I said in the beginning. I started because I wanted to manage stress and anxiety. I was in a place where anxiety was the driver in my life. It was in control of my body and my mind. And the biggest impact I had after doing the workout, months I sitting and being and knowing that it will pay off. I was able to finally be able to regulate my emotions. And so I think for me, it's being able to regulate my emotions. It's been a huge impact. And then now, as after many years, I was at the beginning. As you evolve in anything, in any practice, today, currently, how it helps me be a better leader, a better spouse, a better sister, a better everything, because I am more present and I'm not reactive. When somebody triggers me and I want to say something, in the past, I'll be like, bah. And now it's like, oh, like I need to stop, not react, and take my time. As a leader, the same. You're leading a team. You have to act from clarity, act from wisdom, not react in making partnerships and things that are like not thought through. Making financial decisions that are wise. So it impacts all the aspects of my life as a business leader and as a person. And it's something that I use every day. The days that I feel okay and the days I don't feel that okay, I have some tools that can help me cope with whatever is up during that day.
Beautiful. I hope that that has inspired some live joiners or people who are rewatching this video. And we've got about 2 minutes left. So I just want to present this last slide that you have here. Let me know if you can see it okay. Give me a thumbs up
Yes.
if you can. Okay, Chris, can you just take us out with some food for thought and then remind us how we can stay in touch with you? And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing knowledge in this past hour.
Thank you for having me. So you can visit our page. We have 3 focus areas that we work in. We have a small team of beautiful ladies, very diverse team, which I love having diversity. So, yes, so we work in stress and anxiety management. We have one-on-one classes, and then we have other tools that you can do self-guided sessions. And then we have custom mindfulness, which is for teams, for companies that want to have like an introductory, very personalized training. And then we have mindful leadership, which is the course that I am inviting you to, which is the Search Inside Yourself course. That is actually a mindful leadership course that we teach and that we love, and we love teaching. You can follow us also on social and see what we do. We do a lot of free stuff because we do want to share these things with the world, and we send like a monthly newsletter sharing what we do. So I invite you to sign up and follow us.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this past hour. I've learned a lot. I love that you were able to walk us through 2 really beautiful practices of meditation and mindfulness in this past hour. I'm going to definitely share this conversation with some folks who I think would benefit from, learning the knowledge that you shared with us today. So I encourage our live listeners to do that as well. And we'll see you on the next Chat and Learn. This has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.